In this video, we're going to learn how to create instant counterpoint. Hey, I'm Ron Drotos from KeyboardImprov.com, and welcome to our journey through the real book number 158. Hard to believe. Almost, well, a year away from halfway through the book. There's 400 tunes in the book. This is the third year, doing a tune a week, usually on Fridays, and thanks for being here. So this is I Can't Give You Anything But Love. It's one of the older tunes in the real book. I don't think it was in the original way back when I first got mine in 1980 or 81, somewhere around there. But it's in the 6th edition, and it's really a great tune. It's probably not one that a lot of, quote, modern jazz players will call out at a jam session, you know, along with blue bossa and things like that. But it's really an old chestnut, and it's great for playing dances. If you're hired to play at a swing type dance or ballroom dance, this sort of 2-beat kind of feel. We used to call it a businessman's bounce, or just sort of a nice dance on the dance floor. Play a whole medley of those, when I first moved to New York especially. Not quite so much anymore, things change, but if people do dance to ballroom dancing, it's a really great sort of foxtrot, middle of the road tempo. The classic version of this is Louis Armstrong. The tune was written in 1928, and Armstrong recorded it a year later in 29. And historically, it's interesting because Armstrong broke into the professional world as sort of an apprentice to King Oliver, the trumpet player and band leader. He played second trumpet in King Oliver's band. And then pretty soon afterwards, broke out on his own with encouragement from his wife at the time, the pianist Lil Hardin Armstrong, who's really an underrated and undercredited arranger on those Hot 5s and Hot 7s recordings, especially the Hot 5s. And Lil really sort of dressed him up nicely and said, "You can do this. You can become a star." And he did. The rest is history, as they say. But his first recordings were really the Hot 5s and Hot 7s. It was not a working band, but it was a studio group, New Orleans musicians that he knew. And those are the real classics, like West End Blues, Strutting with Some Barbecue, Potato Head Blues, things like that. And then soon afterwards, though, a couple of years afterwards, they realized that they could cross over with him and really make it big as recording artist and concert star. So he started recording tunes from what's now known as the Great American Songbook, pop tunes of the 20s and then 30s and 40s, right? All the way up to the 60s, Hello Dolly, which incidentally was the recording that displaced the Beatles of when they had the top 4 positions, 1, 2, 3, 4 in, 63 or 64. Hello Dolly by Louis Armstrong was the one that displaced them. So he had a career from the 20s all the way to 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, hits and all those, and then lived until the 70s. 50-year career, pretty big. So his recordings are really the ones that you can use as a model for this. The instant counterpoint, it's hard to do it just on piano, but if you're playing with a band, the chord changes to I Can't Give You Anything But Love are the same as the chords to Pennies From Heaven. So this tune is... and Pennies From Heaven is... Pennies From Heaven. So I remember, if I'm playing a dance, I remember some of the great trumpet players. I'm thinking of a guy named Gary Guzio, people who were in the New York scene when I first broke in and was playing Broadway. You'd play this on a gig, and one of them trumpet player would say, "I'll play Pennies From Heaven," and the sax player would say, "I'll do I Can't Give You Anything But Love." It's hard to do on piano, and I don't know if it really is worth it. Let's see if I can. I'm going to play the melody of the beginning of this tune in my left hand and Pennies From Heaven in the right. So let's see if I can do this. See? So I don't know if it had a beat, it would be something like, let's see. That's it. kind of works on piano. It's very hard to do. But if you have two instrumentalists playing the melody, you can do this. Or a singer, they could do one, you could do the other, or you could play this while the trumpet player plays Pennies From Heaven. It really works well. It's kind of instant counterpoint, the way they sort of lock together the two melodies. And when you play a tune like this, one of the reasons why it's great to listen to Louis Armstrong or somebody praise it on the trumpet or sing it is because back in the day, they didn't write the sheet music with all the inflections that an instrumentalist or vocalist would play. It's very stiff. Nobody's going to sing it like that. They're going to go... sort of like leave a beat there, right? One. Do some anticipations and really make it their own. The composers at this time, Jimmy McHugh and Dorothy Fields, the lyricist, they wrote these tunes out in a simple way, knowing that everybody was going to do that. And they actually wrote it out, by hand or had a copyist do it. And then it was up to the performers, and everybody covered all these tunes, to make it their own. And that's what's come down through the jazz tradition to this day. These days, sheet music is a little different. If you listen to Elton John do a song like Your Song by him, and then you look at the sheet music wasn't written by him. I don't even know if he wrote out that melody. He basically, sang the song, wrote a lyric sheet with the chords, and then phrased it the way he wanted to on the first recording. And most people base their recordings now on his singing, not the sheet music. So whoever listened to his recording, and wrote down the sheet music, they weren't going to change the melody, the rhythms, right? They're going to it's not their tune. They're just going to write it the way they actually hear him doing it. So you'd hear all these, these fancy inflections, which it's up to us to do to an older tune. And that's one of the joys. You could take the tune or you could really embellish it, or even play one part and then play a little embellishment. And then come back to the melody. You know who the master of that was? They all are, but Charlie Parker on his albums, recordings with Bird with Strings. Listen to how he plays the melody. Very undermentioned how great a melodicist Parker is, and he'll put in all these fancy things, but you still know it's the melody, and it really works with that string accompaniment. So I'm going to start this with a 4-bar intro with a D pedal tone. This is something I heard my piano teacher Billy Taylor do all the time, and you kind of do. You can even give a little grace note. 1, 2, 3, 4. To the tune. It's basically any chord you want. You can even just plane down, A, G, F sharp. And it's a great way to start a tune. It works with a band, works solo. It's great with singers because they know exactly what key you're in. You're on the 5 chord. You're going to go to 1 on the first measure. So let's see where we go. I might play Pennies From Heaven, might not. Probably will not try to attempt them together. Let's see where this goes. couple of things happened at the end there. One is that I did something that not everybody does, and it just, when the music wants to go there, it's fun, but it's kind of bold. I'm very soft, about 2 choruses from the end, improvising. It just sort of bring it down. If you're playing in front of an audience, it's a great way to bring them in instead of just always going out towards them. It's okay, we're gonna get soft here. And then at the end, the Basie Ending. Started with that pedal tone on D, which is kind of a very traditional intro, and ended with probably the most traditional ending in all of jazz, what's known as the Count Basie ending. He did it so many times and did it differently with different voicings. Those could be considered clichés, but I remember when I was Gerry Mulligan's assistant, the great saxophonist, he always told me, he said, don't be afraid to play a cliche, because a cliche works. It's going to work. And that was one of the greatest individualists in all of jazz, Gerry Mulligan, giving that advice to don't shy away from cliches sometimes, because they work. He would end a tune like that. So thanks for being here. Good luck with your own jazz piano playing. I hope you were inspired to check out this tune and other ones in the real book. Really appreciate your support and being here. It means a lot to me. So thank you and take care.